Hello, Miguel
Duarte.
Duarte.
Yes, it just looks a little different, the format.
Can you go ahead and rename yourself with full name and last name?
Go on the three buttons down there. There's the three buttons. From security. No.
He went away. Hello, Patrick. Can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. All
Thank
right.
you.
Let me turn on my video.
Thanks. Great.
Just a second. All right. Okay, video. Where's my video?
Hello, Miguel Duarte. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Great. Thanks.
Change it again.
Hello, Harry Douglas. Can you hear us?
I unmuted. Can you hear me now?
Yes. So I promoted to panelists. You should be able to unmute yourself as you need it.
Perfect.
Thank you.
missed it, and I said, hey, listen.
Welcome back, Patrick. Can you hear us?
I can hear you, but
You're not a cat.
it looks like the video part is on the host's end, not mine. So if you want me on video, let's try and start the video.
In the bottom left corner of your screen, there should be a microphone and next to it a camera.
I'm doing that, but yeah, still no image of me coming through my machine. Both the mute and the stop video are without the line through them. So I'm activated in both of those formats. However, you can hear me but can't see me. And we can go on without seeing me, sure.
As long as you're not a cat.
I'm not a kid.
He's gone again.
Chair Duarte, I'll leave it up to you. Looks like we've got a quorum tonight, so whenever you're ready.
Okay.
All right. Good evening. Welcome to the May 19th, 2021 Planning Commission meeting. Please note this meeting is being attended by the Planning Commission and applicants via teleconference. We thank you for your patience as we navigate city business through this modified meeting process. For the benefit of the public and as required by the Brown Act, all voting will be by roll call. I will now call the meeting to order. Mary, may I please have a roll call?
Commissioner Ortiz,
Present.
Commissioner Montoya,
Present.
Vice Chair Owens,
Present.
and Chair Duarte.
Present. Okay, now we'll take turns asking the commissioners have any announcements, agenda items, requests, or meeting reports. Vice Chair Owens.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to thank Aldo and staff. I'd asked a question about Tiempo Cantina. You may have been CC'd in the email. I basically sent it to council members, mayor and vice mayor and council. But it was in regards to comments, complaints, things people have brought to me about Tiempo, and city staff looked into it and gave back quite an extensive bit of information. So I wanted to thank staff for that and Aldo.
All right, thank you. And we can see you now.
Yes.
Commissioner Montoya.
No comments and nothing to report, Chairman. Thank you.
Commissioner Ortiz.
Nothing to report, but I do want to congratulate Commissioner Montoya for finally being a lawyer. He graduated law school recently, so I'm sure we're all proud of you.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you.
The world needs another lawyer.
Yeah, exactly.
I might need another lawyer.
There you go. We're always needed.
That's it.
Okay. Congrats.
Could you lower your rates though? You're breaking the bank.
No.
I got student loans to pay.
Oh, should have joined a trade apprenticeship. Education was free. Education free.
Yeah. He will not be lowering the fees. That's one thing. I will talk to Mr. Montoya about.
That will let down the standard. Can't have that happen.
Okay.
No.
Okay, moving on. Presentations. Community Development Director Schindler, are there any presentations tonight?
Chair Duarte, no presentations tonight.
Okay. Community Development Director Schindler, are there any city council actions to report?
Yes, thank you, Chair Duarte. The City Council at their last meeting approved the item that was presented to the Planning Commission, that being the design standards for the single-family residential build-outs and subdivisions. They received the same information that the Planning Commission received in written form, also an abbreviated presentation, had a couple questions, and in line with the Planning Commission approved that zoning amendment for that. And that concludes my update.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, moving on to public hearings. We can now move on to the public hearing item PLN-20-00124, the plan sign program. Does the secretary have proof of publication?
Yes, we do.
Okay, great. Director Schindler, Can you introduce the staff person presenting this item?
Thank you, Chair Duarte. It'd be my pleasure. Tonight we have our Associate Planner, Irving Anaya, to provide our presentation. Irving?
Thank you. All right. Good evening, Honorable Chair, Commissioners, and members of the audience. The item before you is a request for a planned sign program for an existing multi-tenant commercial building located at 8017 Florence Avenue. The subject site is approximately 38,000 square feet in size and is currently improved with a 10,690 square foot multi-tenant commercial building. And that is located on the north side of Florence and one parcel east of the Paramount Boulevard and Florence Avenue intersection. The subject site is Zone General Commercial, C2, with neighboring zones consisting of C2 to the north, south, and west, and C1 and R1 residential to the east. So as previously stated, the site is improved with a multi-tenant commercial building. The slide before you shows the street view image of the existing commercial building. This image, you can also see the existing box signs, the dated box signs up on the roof area there. The planned sign program will allow a total of 7 exterior wall signs, as you can see here on this floor plan. And where one of those signs will be a secondary wall sign, and that's for the corner tenant located to the west of that structure. The sign program sign standards are consistent with the city's standards found in our municipal code, and such as the maximum allowable sign area shall not exceed 1.5 square feet per lineal foot of tenant frontage. The secondary wall sign area shall not exceed half the allowable of the primary wall sign and not exceed the primary wall sign for that tenant. The applicant is also including a maximum width for the wall sign, and that's 75% of the leasehold frontage. The maximum logo area cannot exceed 25% of the sign copy area. And the sign program also requires that all letters and logos shall not exceed 20 inches in height. All right, so additional standards also include that all wall signs be internally illuminated LED channel letters, as you can see here on this slide. These are examples. And in order to gain like a harmonious and consistent sign design, the sign program is requiring the signs to be a red and or green font color scheme, similar to those that are shown on your screen. And finally, the sign program is also requiring that font styles for all signs be either Oranda bold or Futura heavy bold, as you can see there as well on the slide. This final slide here illustrates the proposed elevation, both on Florence Avenue as well as on the west side of the facade, basically depicting the current tenants there. And basically, then that concludes staff's presentation.
All right, thank you. Vice Chair Owens, do you have any questions for staff?
Yeah, just one. So it looks, Mr. Anaya, thank you for the presentation. It looks like these signs that currently exist, the support for them protrudes, through the roofing material. The plan with the new signs is they will attach to the face of that parapet.
That's correct.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you, Vice Chair Owens. Commissioner Montoya?
I was going to ask a similar question, but no additional questions.
Okay. Commissioner Ortiz?
No additional questions. I think it's a great upgrade from the board.
I just had one question in terms of the color scheme. Is that just the red and green? I know we've had other signs come here, sign programs come before us. It was never really limited to 2 color schemes. Is there a reason for that?
Basically to keep the signs consistent throughout the whole building, the applicants, asking for these two color samples. As you can see here on the proposed renderings, you can kind of see that they're all, as I mentioned, harmonious and consistent throughout the whole building.
So that's something that going forward, that's something we'll see more of. That's kind of my question.
Can I ask the question? I'm sorry. This is Harry Douglas. I'm the owner there, the property owner.
One moment, Harry. Let's see if Irving.
Sorry about that.
Oh, no, not a problem.
Sure. Chair, if I may, it is typical for sign programs to identify specific colors. And Irving can correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that we did have language in there where if a business has a trademark or a certain color that's associated with it, the program does allow for those types of exemptions. But for smaller type of businesses that don't have those trademarks or that recognized image, there is a standard color palette for them to follow.
Okay.
Okay, so if I can comment, if I heard correctly, there is an allowance in there. Should some corporate, product or business move into any of these sites, there's provisions in our ordinance to go ahead and amend, to their logo or amend to their colors or their insignias, logos, and so on. There's provisions for that.
Yes, there was language added to identify that a business that has a recognized color palette or a recognized logo, that's going to be allowed.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, Mr. Chair.
No. Thank you for that. Okay, moving forward. Before we begin the public comments, I'd like to remind members of the public participating telephonically the city meetings rules contained in the Downey Municipal Code prohibit any conduct that disrupts, disturbs, or interferes with the orderly conduct of the meeting, even if you're participating telephonically. Each speaker shall have 3 minutes to address the commission. Members of the public wishing to address the planning commission regarding the public hearing for item PLN-20-00124 only may now call our teleconference line at 562-299-6622. For those who submitted comments via email, your comments will be read into the record and no further public comment via teleconference will be permitted. I will now open the public comments. Secretary Cadwell, may I have the first speaker on the phone?
Chair, there are no calls for public comment nor emails.
Okay. Is there any written public comment on the item PLN-20-00124 to be read into the record?
No written public comments.
We should let the applicant.
Yes, and I was gonna, now the applicant, I know he's there. What do you want to tell us about the project? Mr. Douglas?
There we go. I was able to unmute. Sorry about that.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
I just, everything seems great. The only thing it came a little bit of a surprise. I was asked to speak to all my tenants and see what colors they wanted. So I think at some point, the original submittal and multiple revisions, there was different colors. Like I know the Renatux, even though they're not a national tenant or I don't know if they have a trademark name, but I know that they were interested in, let's say, a black or a white. I believe Los Sombreros wanted to do blue. So they may not be national tenants or trademarks. Is there any avenue for them to pursue different colors other than the green and red? I know Las Palmitas likes green and red, and that works for them. I believe Golden Nails wants the red, so it works for a few of the tenants. But I believe at some point there was, I think we had 4 or 5 colors: white, green, red, and blue. I believe were the 4 colors.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to tell us about the sign program?
No, I just thought it was, I thought, I like the whole channel letter. I like putting it on the parapet wall. I just thought it cleaned up the whole, center a little bit. So we just, it's, sign program's been fine. And I like that there's, some structure to the building moving forward that the tenants need to comply to, but it just all comes down to, I guess, color was just a little bit of a surprise for me. That's
okay. Well, we'll have some questions from I'll ask if the commissioners have any questions for you. Vice Chair Owens?
No, Mr. Douglas, that's a great question. We were, having a little discussion about that earlier, just simply that, is there provisions, to do, in accord with a national vendor or national, product representative, or in the case of these independents, certainly the city attorney would tell us, or Crystal certainly would tell us that, to your question, that might be possible, that if you're independent tenants there that aren't connected to anything, nationally, have a preference or have something that they would prefer, maybe we can get an answer on that. Sounds like we can.
Sure, Mr. Chair, if I can go ahead and jump in to answer that. That is in the discretion of the Planning Commission. So as part of your discussion tonight, if you wanted to remove the requirement of adhering to only 2 colors or a certain number of colors, you're free to absolutely do that. When looking at sign programs, and I know we haven't had that color choice specifically in some of the past sign programs that have come before you. But again, as we move forward, we try to make sure that we're being consistent and that we're trying to create uniformity as we go. So that was something that we did introduce. Again, color is something that we spoke about recently at a different Planning Commission meeting. So we're trying to reflect things that we're hearing in projects as they move forward. But in regard to signs, if the commission didn't want to set those specifications on color, then we can remove that item and approve it with that modification.
Okay, maybe I can comment there. Thank you, Crystal. So in regards to that, as we go forward and continue to discuss and potentially look to, add this or add that, my way in would be to leave it in the city staff's hands, of course, because they're going to come to us with anything that's outrageous. Right, I think that's the path to the Planning Commission, but maybe we can look at crafting some language that allows us to, keep it in the staff's hands as it should be. But if there's something that is completely, irregular or outrageous, because every tenant, every business wants to stand out head and shoulders above, its competitor or its next door neighbor. So, but not to the degrees of it being over the top, out of control. So I would be a fan of some language that kept it in staff's hands, of course, and then anything that was going to be completely irregular or heading that direction might come under Planning Commission, as a agenda item. Thanks.
Thank you. Chair Ortiz, do you have any questions for Mr. Douglas?
Yeah, I honestly thought that the color scheme, the green and red, were suggested by the tenant, but I know that we recently spoke about color scheme on homes. That was the last meeting we had. But if it's something, in my opinion, if it's something in regards to signage for a business, and if that's something where the businesses want to decide, I honestly don't find any issue with them having their own color scheme. I'm sure the city will bring to us something that's outrageous, but I honestly don't find any issue with the businesses having their own color scheme. So.
Okay. Commissioner Montoya, do you have any questions for Mr. Douglas?
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Douglas, Douglas, I don't have any questions for you, but I guess for the commission and staff, I definitely would like to table the color situation for further discussion if we all agree and want to do that.
Okay. And I guess my question only to Mr. Douglas, you said how many of the tenants wanted to maybe go with a different color scheme?
As far as I know, again, I'm going off of memory, but I know for years, Downey Rent-A-Tux has got a black and white scheme. So I believe they wanted to do black letters, and then they illuminate to white in the evening. And then I believe the florist also wanted to do the same. And then for years, Los Sombreros had a blue scheme. So the only additional colors really, I mean, perhaps white, but it would be black and blue would be the two additional colors. And I don't know the difficulty of obtaining those colors in the future, but it'd be great to be able to add those now So perhaps it would be less difficult for the tenants to get those color schemes that, again, they're not national tenants. I don't know if they're trademark, but this has been their color scheme for 20, 30 years, I believe, that as long as Downey Renatux has been there. Friendly Flowers has been there for quite a long time. Los Sombreros has had those colors. So I would like for them to keep their identity as it's been for the last 10, 20, 30 years.
Yeah, sorry about that. I had a little issue here with my mic. But I think now's the time to discuss this between the commissioners. In terms of the sign program, Commissioner Vice Chair Owens, what's your thoughts?
If I may, Chair Duarte, did you
Yeah.
want to close the public hearing first, or how'd you like?
Yes, I will do that. We'll now close the public comments. We can begin deliberation. Vice Chair Owens.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So as I had said just a moment ago, yeah, I'm great with these tenants directing or getting their wishes fulfilled in a choice of a color. I don't have necessarily a problem. Again, the city staff should certainly field this at the counter, and keep it, in line. And if it tends to be a request that needs our attention, then certainly bring it our way. I'm good with with it either way, red or green. But if those tenants, have preference, sure. I'm a fan of more advertising or better advertising, just not to the point where it's going to be, obstructive, invasive, and just in other people's minds, not a good outcome. So that's my comments, but I'm good either way. I think we could craft language that would be acceptable on this item as one and included in one of the conditions. Thanks.
Thank you. Commissioner Montoya?
I'm okay with going forward with this. And I would love to see if we can make that stipulation to allow some of these tenants to use a different color for their signage. That's all I have to say.
Commissioner Ortiz?
I am glad that we're all agreeing. If big businesses have their own, they can do their own color scheme when they go up. Why not help small businesses choose their own colors? I'm a huge supporter of those businesses there. So they don't seem like those colors that they're choosing are so in your face. So I'm sure if anything does come up, the staff is more than capable of bringing it to our attention. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
So yeah, my thoughts on this is just, and I can ask Crystal a question on this a little later, but I think that our new sign program has been great, going away from the box signs to our new sign program. I think, looking at the area on Lakewood, I think it's the Apollo Center, where the Crimson Coward are, those places, a lot of those places seem to, individualize their own businesses. And they haven't stuck to two color schemes, but they've, kind of had their own schemes. And I think that center looks, just remarkably better with our sign program. So I would be in favor of, the sign program here going forward. And maybe not restricting it to just two color schemes. And that's just, my thoughts. When I looked at the conditions of approval, I didn't see that in there. I saw that in the resolution. So I don't know if we have to craft any language there for that. But that's kind of like my thoughts again, just from the experience of seeing the Apollo Center and, seeing some of the individual signs, the Pilates place, again, the Crimson Coward, things of that nature have looked really good, I think. And again, just going away from the box to these individual signs is, I think, aesthetically just 100% better. I'm also in agreement with Mr. Owens. I think staff does a great job, and this is probably something to be taken care of over a counter.
Sure. So then, if it's the commission's desire, then you're correct. We don't make reference to the colors in the resolution, so I don't think we need to add language into the resolution itself. What we can do is read into the record right now that the sign program itself will be modified so that on page 8, under the subsection sign materials, we can remove item B, which makes reference to the specified colors red and green. And in the figure below, we can also remove the color blocks that refer to the red and green. Similarly, on page 9, under sign materials, we will remove section B and renumber after. And then below, remove the color blocks, which make reference to the green and red. And as long as those are recorded and noted for the meeting and the resolution is approved with the proposed modifications to the sign program, I believe this can go forward tonight.
Okay. What do you think, fellas? Does that sound agreeable to everyone?
I agree with that.
Yeah, I agree.
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
All right, so to approve the resolution and with the proposed modifications.
I second that.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Secretary Kavanaugh, may you please take a roll call vote?
Commissioner Ortiz,
Aye.
Commissioner Montoya,
Aye.
Vice Chair Owens,
Aye.
and Chair Duarte.
Aye.
And the motion passes in favor of all four, unanimously agreeing to approve PLN 20-00124 with modified conditions as proposed by the city planner.
Okay, great. Moving forward to non-agenda public comments. This portion of the agenda provides an opportunity for the public to address the Planning Commission on items within the jurisdiction of the Planning Commission and not listed on the agenda. It is requested but not required that you state your name, address, and subject matter upon which you wish to speak. Please limit your comments to no more than 3 minutes. Pursuant to the Brown Act, no discussion or action other than a brief response, referral to the city planning staff, or schedule for a subsequent agenda shall be taken by the Planning Commission on any issue put forth under this section. Before we begin the non-agenda public comment period, I'd like to remind members of the public participating telephonically that the city's meeting rules contained in the Downey Municipal Code prohibit any conduct that disrupts, disturbs, or interferes with the orderly conduct of the meeting, even if you're participating telephonically. Each speaker should have 3 minutes to address the commission on issues that are within the commission's jurisdiction. Members of the public wishing to address the Planning Commission regarding non-agenda public comments only may now call our teleconference line at 562-299-6622. For those who submitted comments via email, your comments will be read into the record and no further public comment via teleconference will be permitted. Secretary Kavanaugh, may I have the first speaker on the phone?
There are no calls for public comment.
Secretary Kavanaugh, do we have any written public comment?
There are no written public comments.
Okay, I will now close the non-agenda public comments. Moving on to the consent calendar items. Items in this section will be voted on in the motion unless the commissioner or citizen requests separate actions. Anyone wishing to discuss a consent calendar item should be recognized by the chair, state name, address, and agenda, item number. Further, any consent calendar items removed from the agenda will be considered by the commission following the public hearing items. We have 2 items here, the general plan consistency, PLN-21-0047, and the April 7, 2021 minutes.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I'm certainly able to make a motion on the for these items on the consent calendar. However, I do see Mr. Norris sitting in the audience, our city engineer, and I just had a comment or question. I wanted to see if Mr. Norris might join us for a second. everyone that lives in Downey, which is all of us for the most part, except maybe some of the staff doesn't, but we're blown up. Everywhere you drive, there's a pile of dust and a pile of barricades, right? And a disruption in traffic flow and a disruption, in the signalization, of the intersections, getting through them, expeditiously. So at the end of this, all this construction, and that's the question, when will this be over? I know construction is ongoing, but as far as getting the signals timed so that we can flow up and down Paramount, or we can flow across Firestone or Old River, which is under a resurfacing project right now. What's kind of our ballpark to be able to have our city back without, the barricades and piles of dirt everywhere, every direction you turn? So, Mr. Norris, if you might just share that with us, if you have a kind of an estimated time.
It depends on Commissioner Owens, I guess. So as you know, we have various capital improvement projects going on right now that are currently under construction. The ones that are currently going on Stewart and Gray Road and Paramount Boulevard, the signalization and communications projects should be complete in about a month from now, by around mid-June. And at that time, you're asking about the synchronization of the traffic signals on Paramount Boulevard. That I would expect around that time, we will also be in a position where we will be able to implement the final timing along Paramount Boulevard. And then we have a third project on Imperial Highway involving traffic signal upgrades and safety enhancements. That will wrap up probably 2 months from now, I would estimate. And the project on Old River School Road, the resurfacing project, they'll actually be done with the paving next week. And then the striping, the roadway striping with the bike lanes will probably 2 weeks after that. So in about 3 weeks, the project should be substantially complete.
Thank you, Mr. Norris. Now, an additional question is, what's in the future? Do we have other majors or minors that will experience, the same upgrades? What's in the future plans?
Well, we also have a project that's just getting underway with construction on Telegraph Road, involving the construction of raised median islands from Lakewood Boulevard, Rosemead Boulevard to the west city limit, and from Passons to the east city limit, which also involves the reconstruction and resurfacing of Telegraph Road. So the corridor will look nice once it's complete. The roadway will have new fresh pavement, and it will be more aesthetically pleasing with landscaped raised medians. Other than that, we have various projects kind of in the design stage at the moment. We have our routine annual projects such as residential street resurfacing project in Council District 1, which should be under construction within the next 2 months. We have also miscellaneous concrete improvements and ADA improvements that are just wrapping up at the moment. And other than that, just we also have on Florence Avenue, I should mention also, that's a water improvement project currently going on Florence Avenue, involving the replacement of service laterals and fire hydrants, valves, meters, etc. That one is nearly complete. And that's about all that really comes to mind as far as projects on the horizon. 3rd Street also, pavement rehabilitation. That's going to probably start in the fall from Reeves Avenue to Paramount, and eventually Eventually, the objective is to resurface 3rd Street all the way to Civic Center Drive. So we'll eventually get there.
All
But
right.
we need a water improvement on 3rd Street first. So we have various projects kind of in the design stage right now, but those are the ones that are on the horizon.
Any mention or any thing that you might know in regards to your plan about Downey Avenue between Stewart and Gray and Alameda, or Stewart and Gray to Imperial Highway? That street is buckled pretty bad. Any plan for Downey Avenue improvement there? And then how about downtown Downey? As I know, Downey Avenue, in the business district here in downtown, it was not meant to be the throughway it's become, but the traffic routing, has caused it to do that and certainly go under some real heavy abuse, which is leading to some real failure in certain places. Is there a plan for downtown Downey as well, Downey Avenue, as well as the other area I mentioned, Stewart Gray to Imperial Highway?
None at the moment, no. However, we do have a project involving the installation of bike lanes, of additional bike lanes throughout the city, and Downey Avenue being one of the routes. So in conjunction with the projects that will install the bike lanes, we will be resurfacing various routes throughout the city as needed. So there is a possibility we'll be able to accelerate the paving, resurfacing on Downey Avenue, at least between Stewart and Gray and Alameda, like you mentioned, the asphalt section, in conjunction to get the pavement ready for the installation of the bike lanes. So there might be a chance we can at least accelerate that portion of Downey Avenue.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for, joining us. I know this is your report that, was part of our consent calendar. But thank you for taking my questions.
You're welcome.
All right, before we move on to other commission questions, I'd like to open up the consent calendar to the public. So before I do that, I'd like to remind members of the public participating telephonically that the city meetings rules contained in the Downey Municipal Code prohibit any conduct that disrupts, disturbs, or interferes with the orderly conduct of the meeting, even if you're participating telephonically. Each speaker shall have 3 minutes to address the commission on consent calendar items. Members of the public wishing to address the Planning Commission regarding consent calendar items only may now call our teleconference line at 562-299-6622. For those who submitted comments via email, your comments will be read into the record and no further public comment via teleconference will be permitted. Secretary Kavanaugh, may I have the first speaker on the phone?
There are no calls for public comment.
Secretary Kavanaugh, do you have any written public comment?
There are no written public comments.
Okay, we'll now close the consent calendar public comments. Commissioner Montoya, do you have any questions or comments on the consent calendar items?
No questions, but comment. I did enjoy looking through the active transportation plan. I thought it was very thorough and it did a really good job of explaining the reasonings behind where we were going to put bike lanes and have more accessible pedestrian walkways. So I'm excited for it, and I'm happy to see this come into fruition in the next few years. Next year.
Commissioner Ortiz?
I actually agree with Commissioner Montoya. It's one I really enjoyed reading the proposals or the general plan. I do have one question. Have we been funded completely for this project through the grants already?
I'll go ahead and answer that. This is Ed Norris, Deputy Director of Public Works. Not for all the projects listed in the active transportation plan, if that's what you're asking. I would say yes, partially. There is a series of bike-related improvements, which are known as Phase 1, that stem from the bike master plan, which later kind of evolved into the active transportation plan that you see before you tonight. The first phase of the bike-related improvements, which primarily consists of a series of bike lanes, bike routes, signage, and bike parking facilities throughout the city. Those projects are funded, and those through a grant through the Metropolitan Transportation Authority. But the individual pedestrian improvements that you see, the various treatments at the intersections and downtown and so forth, the wayfinding signage project is not yet funded. And so we will be pursuing grant opportunities in the future to be able to fund those particular improvements and projects. And having this plan in place is the first step and puts us in a better position to be able to better compete for funding in the future as grant opportunities come along. We also have our consultant, Mr. Miguel Nunez from the firm Fair Peers, who prepared our ATP document. And Miguel, would you like to add to that, or feel free to chime in at any time? I guess he's nothing to add, but
yeah, sorry, nothing to add. I didn't, you can hear me. I at the time you offered that, I was not able to speak, and but I'm seeing that now. I don't have anything to add to that, Ed, but I'm glad to help answer any additional questions that the Planning Commission may have.
Vice Chair Owens, do you have any additional questions?
No, thank you. I asked all my questions on the front end before you offered this opportunity. So no, thank you very much.
I just had I also enjoyed reading through the packet here. I just one question I saw, the tour to Downey. Have we Downey approached the being part of the Ciclavia event, which kind of seems the same thing, but involves a little more of the Southeast cities. So I don't know if that's a question for Mr. Norris or the other Miguel, but just had a question about that.
Chairman Duarte, I could field that one. We have been a part of a version of Ciclavia in the past. Metro releases that activity / grant. I believe it was every other year is what the city was queuing up for. And then we got hit with the global pandemic, and that threw us off. So in the future, you will see that event.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you very much. So I have no further questions. Guys, is there a motion for the consent calendar items?
Motion to pass consent calendar items 2 and 3.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
All right. Secretary Cowell, may we please take a roll call vote?
Commissioner Ortiz,
Aye.
Commissioner Montoya,
Aye.
Vice Chair Owens,
Aye.
and Chair Duarte.
Aye.
And the motion passes with all in favor to approve the items of the consent calendar.
Okay, great. Moving on to other business. This is the time any commissioner has any other items for business. Vice Chair Owens.
None, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Commissioner Montoya.
None. Thank you, Chairman.
Commissioner Ortiz.
And thank you, Chairman.
Okay, and I have none, but I will again congratulate Commissioner Montoya on graduation. All right, now you just got the bar exam.
Thank you. Yeah, that's right.
Congratulations, you have the bar exam now. I'm sure you do great. Staff member comments. Director Schindler, do you have any staff comments?
Yes, thank you, Chair Duarte. You may have noticed that we've missed Commissioner Spathhouse over the last couple meetings. He has moved out of the city of Downey, and so he relocated. Therefore, he'll no longer participate on our planning commission. The mayor is looking for a replacement for her district, and we should be hearing from her shortly. So we should have a new commissioner within the near future. Next, the new Chick-Fil-A at the southwest corner of Downey and Imperial will be opening tomorrow. So the one on Firestone does gangbusters, and we won't be surprised if the one down there does gangbusters as well. It's a popular place. I may have reported previously, but we're moving closer to with Foot Locker. Foot Locker is going to locate in the Fayez Paredes building on Firestone Boulevard across from Acapulco. Fayez Paredes has been there for a long time. They haven't really kept up their facade, so we're excited about having a new building looking nice and brand new at that site. They're going to do some interesting things with their facade as well. And last but not least, today is Mary's birthday, and Mary is quiet and been shy and reserved about it, but happy birthday, Mary.
Yeah, happy birthday, Mary.
Happy birthday, Mary.
Thank you, everyone.
And Director Schindler, in terms of we have a Foot Locker in the mall, right?
We do, and we believe they're going to relocate out of there. Foot Locker's got a new model. They're bumping out of malls and areas where they feel they've got a good footprint to take on increased square footage capacity. They did so in Inglewood, Santa Monica, Culver City, and downtown. Once again, they believe within certain markets that they've got the capacity to grow and really tap into that local market. They like Downey specifically for having two different high schools. They know about the rivalry between Warren and Downey, so it's something that has bled outside of Downey into the region. They also are very interested in terms of the growth of Downey outside of football in terms of arts and culture and what's happening in the community. So they really feel that they're going to have a nice presence there.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, that's what I was kind of getting at. I had imagined because of the size of the Fayez, maybe if they would be, doing something like the Santa Monica location.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, great. That's it's very exciting for the city. Okay, so in honor of Mary's birthday, we'll get this adjourned so she can go enjoy her cake. All right, meeting adjourned. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.